Hi again, guys. We're going to be looking at using the database functions in Excel. The database functions are used in order to do calculations on a subset of the data rather than all of the data. As you will see from the notes that I sent to you, when you're using the database functions, the arguments of all of the database functions are exactly the same. I've set them out here at the top right hand side. Here at the bottom left, you notice that I've put some questions, and what we're going to be doing is using the database functions of Excel to answer these questions. Whenever we're going to answer a question, the question is going to be asking us to search data. So this is the data that I'll be searching in order to answer those questions below. You'll notice that when I highlight the data, a name comes up in the name box. I named my data. How I did that? Highlight the data, come up to the name box, type in the name and press enter. The name that I use is the name of the data of the file, so it makes it easy to remember. So let's take a look at the first question. We want to find the average age of the men in the database. So we want to find the age, but only the age of the men. So the criteria represents what it is I'm going to be searching for. So what I want to search for is gender, M. So I've set my criteria, I have the data, and I know that what I want is an average of the age. Let's go to insert function on the formula bar, and I want D average. Remember we said it's a database function, and how Excel shows you a database function is put D at the beginning of the function. So I'm going to use D average. D average, as with all other D functions, database functions, have the same criteria, the same arguments. There are 3 arguments and all of them must be used. Database, representing the data that I'm going to search, is SkateJam. There it is on the right hand side, popping up once I type in the name. Field, representing what I want it to use to do the calculation on. I wish it to do the calculation to be done on age. And the criteria I set up here on column P. And there is the average age of all the men. I had formatted the cell previously for no decimal places, so even though the answer appears to be 40, it's a rounding off. Let's try and find the average age of all the women. So again, I have to leave the criteria for the question that I answered previously. If I change the criteria, it changes the answer. So I'm going to put another criteria, this time gender F. Insert function, D average again. The database is SkateJam. The field, age, the criteria, gender F. And there is the answer. Now this time we're going to take a look at question 3. Now question 3 asks me about something about men. It says the number of men, so it's asking me for a count of men. But these men must have a percent of quota. Must have a percent of quota that is 25. Must have a percent of quota that is within 25% of the quota. So it means if it's within 25%, it's going to be 75%. So I want to see the men who are within 25% or less of the quota. Now I have gender already, so I'm going to put percent of quota beside it. Now, where the heading that I want to work with is a little bit unusual, I will copy it So I'm going to copy percent of quota to the cell just to the right of gender. And I know that I want the percent of quota to be greater than or equal to 75%. I'm going to click where I want the answer to be placed. I'm going to go into insert function and we're going to count. Now when I'm counting, I must use a numeric field. I can't count a field that has words in it. I can only count a field, or a column rather, that has numbers. So again, we're going to use skate gem. And what I'm going to count is age. Once it's a numeric field, it doesn't matter what I count. Criteria, gender M, and percent of quota greater than or equal to 75%. And there it says 4. So there are 4 men who have percent of quota that is 75% or greater. Let's try the women. So again, I'm going to insert function, count, database is KGM, field I'm going to count is age, and the criteria, guess what? We didn't set up the other criteria for percent of quota. But you notice that I'm highlighting the empty space because I am going to put the criteria in there. So I'm going to copy this criteria because the criteria for both questions is the same. And the instance as I put in the criteria, the answer appears. So the criteria that it is using, here it is, this insert function. The criteria that it's using is P and Q. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Calculate the total year-to-date sales for inside sales area. So I know that what it is that I want now is the sales area. So I'm just going to copy the heading. But when I copy it, it will come out exactly right. And the sales area is inside. And what I want here is to add it up. So the function that I'm going to use is dsum, and there's dsum right there. So it's a database function, but it is summing or adding up. Database is kgem, and I'm going to be adding up year-to-date sales, and the criteria, let's just move this out of the way, is sales area inside. There you go. And I'm going to format it, comma format. Oops, I need to widen this just a bit. There you go. So it is 15 million. So now let's do the one for outside. So I'm going to copy this. Remember, we said that if you change the criteria, it's going to change the answer that you've already done. So I have to change this. I have to have another copy, and I'm going to do outside. So it's insert function. Notice I keep wanting to type, and that's because I know the function so well that I can type them rather than use insert function. Database is skatejam. The field is year-to-date sales, and the criteria is sales area outside. There you go. Okay, so again, very quickly, the beauty of using the database functions is that I can answer all sorts of questions, lots of different types of questions that are asking me to use a subset of the data rather than all the data itself. I just need to remember, name this area, name the area that you're searching to find the answer, set up your criteria, and know the column that you want to use to do the calculation on. So it may require a little bit of planning, but as you talk through what you want, I find that it makes it a little bit easier and allow you to go through smoothly when you're creating your spreadsheet using the database functions. Have fun with it. Until we speak again. Bye bye.